Can I make a confession? Like, are we friends? My confession is this.
Subscribe your channel.
We could be everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want.
So much discourse online lately, and it almost feels like people are finding any and everything to complain about, from content creators all creating the same type of content to finding different people online to criticize. The internet has become such a toxic place, and it makes me sad because there is such an opportunity for people to actually learn from each other and grow in wisdom, understanding, compassion, all of the different things. I find it very interesting how the internet has changed over time and what it's turned into. I mean, even myself, like, who wants to watch? This is at least what I'm thinking. Who wants to watch me have these psychedelic level revelations that are giving me a new key to life while I make a banana whipped cream? Good morning, and it actually is for real morning right now. I'm about to make a coffee, a cappuccino, if you will, but I want to do a banana cream cold foam on, not cold foam, a banana cream foam on top. I'm actually going to do hot coffee. So I thought about doing this with the matcha yesterday, but I got completely drained and never made it to it. So we'll do that on a different day. But I want to do a cold, I keep saying cold foam. I want to do a cream foam on top of a cappuccino, but I want banana. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take out our blender. That's ready. Our ingredients obviously are banana. You know what's funny is I really thought about using these. These are so cute. But I think I'm going to use a whole one of these because I would have to use too many of these to make enough for today and tomorrow. So I'm gonna use this one whole banana so we can make enough for today. I'm gonna use cinnamon. I'm gonna add a little bit of almond extract for flavor. I will be adding vanilla extract as well as heavy whipping cream. Now we have a couple options. I normally make my cappuccino and all of the sweetener is in the cream. So when you guys see me steam my milk and I pour it on top of my espresso, all of the sweetness is in the cream. I want to do it the same way. So I need to have some sweetener added into it, but I'm going to do that after the fact. I'm not actually going to add the sweetener, I don't think, into this. I'm going to taste it, see how it comes out, and then we'll decide. I'm eyeballing this, so, you know, measure with your heart. Now, ideal circumstances would have this also with milk to like make it a little bit thinner, but I don't have milk. I don't even have almond milk, so we're just gonna have to make do with what we have. I have the best idea. Okay, so I've put it all in here. Do you guys know in Paris that famous restaurant that does the hot chocolate where it's like thick creamy hot chocolate and they put the dollop of cream on top? I think we're gonna do our cappuccino that way this morning and put a dollop of cream on top. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to sweeten the espresso because this really actually is not that sweet. So I'll probably add just some brown sugar. We're gonna just see how this goes. You guys have seen me make 1,000 cappuccinos. You don't need to see too many details on this, but this machine I believe has gone down in price since I've gotten it. So I'll leave it linked down below if you guys are interested in it. It makes a great Christmas gift if you wanna ask somebody who loves you very much, get you the Ninja Luxe Cafe. Tell them to get this for you. This, you will not regret it. I just thought of something. Normally I rely on my milk being, or the cream, whatever coffee creamer I'm using, being hot to keep my coffee hot. This might not do that, honestly. It's gonna be lukewarm. So I'm wondering if I should change this to a iced coffee. As much as I like really want the whole hot coffee vibe, I don't think it's gonna work. Let's do an iced coffee. This is probably one of the strongest coffees I've ever made. I feel like this cream would be best on top of a regular like iced coffee, not espresso, so you have more liquid to work with, or a matcha. I wouldn't have been able to make a matcha anyway today though because I don't have any milk, so I need to go to the store and get some milk. But it's still really good. It's just really strong. We know I love a strong coffee, so it's not the worst thing. I had this very interesting dream, and in this dream I was in an outdoor area, but I had gone through kind of like a doorway in a building to get there, but it felt like a area that was not quite open to the public. That's the best way I could say that, because it had this very big lake in the middle. It had a pathway that you could walk around the lake. It had a lot of grass, bright grass, big beautiful trees, and the color in this place was very pungent. Like everything was very high contrasting colors. It was a very colorful place. The green was really green. The flowers were really like concentrated colors, you know? And as I was looking around, there were ducks everywhere. Okay, ducks everywhere, all different ages and sizes. But I started paying close attention to the ground, and I started to notice these little things running around on the ground and kind of like hopping. And so I got down really low on my knees and kind of almost laid myself flat on my stomach to the ground so that I could turn my head this way. And as I looked on the ground this way, I started to notice that all of the little things on the ground that I saw hopping around were little tiny itty bitty baby ducks. Like when I say that they were tiny, they were smaller than my pinky nail, like maybe half the size of my pinky nail. And they were just pink skinned, no feathers, very vulnerable. And they were just hopping around on the ground, and there were so many of them. And there were people walking to and fro on this path. So as soon as I noticed that they were there, I screamed for everybody to watch their step because I didn't want anybody to step on them. As I looked around at the other ducks, I started to notice the older the ducks got, the less they were jumpy and movie, but they were still all different ages, and they were all like out of water when they really would have been safer in the water, including the baby ducks, but they were out of water. I remember trying to grab one of these tiny itty bitty baby ducks, and it was really hard to catch because it just hopped up and down like a little froggy tadpole thing. Like it was just very jumpy and bouncing like a jumping bean. And so I finally caught one in my hands like this, and I had my hand on top of it to make sure that it couldn't hop out of my hand. And I went over to the man who was in charge of this place. I can't tell you what he looked like because he was really tall and I could only see him from the shoulders down. So I never really even saw his face, but I went over to him with the little tiny baby duck in my hand. And I asked him if it was okay that all of these little tiny baby ducks were on the ground, because in my mind I just was so concerned for their safety that I felt like maybe we should move them somewhere else. I woke up before I got an answer. As I started to ruminate on the dream and really like pick it apart, and it took me like a full 2 days, I would say, before it's like the words just dropped into my brain and I heard, you have to humble yourself to see the small things. Right? And the humbling came from the fact that I literally got down onto my knees, almost face flat to the ground. And that was the only way that I was able to see all of these little tiny, tiny baby ducks that were vulnerable and, you know, in danger of being hurt if somebody didn't see them and stepped on them. So that was the first thing. You have to humble yourself in order to see the small things. Also, with me trying to catch it and it being kind of jumpy and hard to catch, I heard sometimes the little things are hard to catch. I was like, okay, so you have to humble yourself to see the small things because sometimes the small things are hard to catch. Got it. We have a sentence going, right? One of the things that I heard after that, which really had me in the bathroom, because I was in the bathroom like after a shower, just, you know, like getting dressed, when I'm just like thinking about this dream, like, what does that even mean? So I heard those first two things. And then the last thing I heard is, when things go unnoticed, a lot of damage is done. I was thinking about how these small things turn into big things. These small little itty bitty 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 baby ducks, they grow into bigger ducks. There was a very real possibility that they would never make it to bigger ducks because they got squished by somebody who wasn't watching their step. And I started to think about how we interact with each other, right? A duck out of water is vulnerable because the water is really their environment where they're able to float, glide. You know, they look really graceful and beautiful when they're on water, right? But when they're out of water, you know, it's a little clumsy. So a duck out of water vulnerability, it could be people who are out of their comfort zone. When people are out of their comfort zone, there's a lot of different things that become apparent. Like little tiny baby ducks, I probably would not see on the water because the water is their comfort zone. They probably would be swimming or gliding. It wouldn't be, you know, such a thing. But when I think about how we deal and interact with people on a day-to-day basis, there are so many details that if we are not moving in humility and humbling ourselves and paying attention and watching our step, you could literally crush someone without even noticing, by your words, by your actions, and I want to say being inconsiderate. And not like inconsiderate from the standpoint of being intentional, because sometimes we don't mean to be inconsiderate. It's just that we can't see. Just by the act of not being able to see, you could really crush someone unintentionally, causing irreparable damage, stunting their growth. Like a little tiny baby duck that was squashed and killed would never grow into what it was meant to be. And I thought about the fact that I was screaming at everybody to watch their step. I was talking to my mom about this dream and she told me, because even my aunt had said this and my uncle had said this when we were at breakfast, and I guess I never really thought about it, but they told me that I had an extreme attention to detail. And I think I hadn't thought about it because I had, you know, gone through a season with a person who had really made me question my memory. You know, I've always been known to have a really stellar memory about things, right? But through this season with this person, they would say all kinds of things and be like, don't you remember saying that? Don't you remember this? Don't you remember that? And I'm like, I really don't. And then certain things they would say and I'm like, I don't really think that's how that happened. So it really made me start to question myself and my memory and my attention to detail, to a point where like I was seriously concerned, like, is something wrong with me? Is something going on? But then after I got out of that situation and I removed myself from that, the Lord started to bring, you know, they say it's a scripture, the Holy Spirit brings all things to your remembrance, right? But it has to be there for you to remember. That's what my mom says, because I'll be telling her like, oh, I got to pray before I take this test. She said, yeah, but you got to study so you have the information in your brain for the Holy Spirit to bring it back to your remembrance, you know? So it's just funny, but the Holy Spirit started to bring things back to my remembrance. And I started to remember things like wait a minute, I know exactly what happened. Why are they recounting the story to me like that? Like, that's odd. Going through that really made me question myself, what I remember, my attention to detail. But then when my aunt and my uncle were talking about it, and they were saying it was something they had noticed about me from being around me, you know, because they were moving out here. And, you know, we just had several conversations. And I guess in my speaking, these were the things that they noticed. And it just got me to thinking like, wow, I am who God created me to be. I've always been who God created me to be. When we are moving through the world, there are so many little things that are hard to catch and very easy to miss. And it's really important that you humble yourself and pay attention, because you could kill something in somebody without even meaning to, all because you weren't being considerate and watching where you were going, what you were doing, what you were saying, how you were moving. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think anybody fails on purpose. I don't think anybody means to be malicious on purpose. I don't think anybody wants to be a horrible person on purpose. It really has a lot to do with their upbringing, their childhood, their traumas, the things that they've gone through. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse for them to be and act the way that they are. However, they are factors, because we are all walking around unhealed in certain areas, and we have to do the work to be healed and be made whole. But at the end of the day, we're all imperfect human beings, you know? So it's a very easy thing to say what you would or wouldn't do, but you really don't know what you would or wouldn't do if you were in that person's shoes. And there's probably a reason why that person was trusted to carry that burden of their life, their childhood, and the things that they, you know, went through growing up, because had God placed that burden on somebody else, they probably wouldn't even be able to take it or suffer it. They would have probably taken themselves out. I think the biggest trick of the enemy is to make you feel like you don't have everything you need and you're not equipped to handle the burden that God has placed on you to carry. Where God does not only give, you know, just blessings, you know, there's a scripture. It's in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Where Paul is asking God to remove an affliction from him, right? Instead of removing it, God says, my grace is sufficient for you, and my strength is made perfect in weakness. And I remember talking about this in one of my lessons, biggest lessons for 2024. This was at my life lesson. So if you want to see that video, it's like one of the last videos I filmed for 2024 during Vlogmas, where I was talking about all the lessons I had learned in 2024. But this scripture came back up again. And for Paul to be asking for his afflictions to be removed and God to say, my grace is sufficient for you. We don't realize that sometimes we are given burdens to carry because God has equipped us to carry them. And sometimes the burden you carry is not for you, it's for somebody else. So if you've gone through a very difficult childhood and you've had some things you needed to overcome, maybe you've overcome sexual abuse, maybe you have overcome bullying, maybe you have overcome having absentee parents and abandonment issues, or just a number of different things that you have had to overcome. Maybe you've overcome an eating disorder. Maybe you've overcome health issues. All of these things are not only for you. Somebody else is going to go through what you've gone through, and they're going to need a roadmap on how to get through it. But if you never get through it, how are you going to help somebody else get through it? You know, that's why the biggest testimonies, the strongest testimonies, are those that come from personal experience, because I just think that if you've never had to struggle or go through something in life, if you've never had to live a difficult life, you're really lacking a lot of wisdom, because God's strength is made perfect in weakness. His grace is sufficient. The amount of life lessons we learn by our struggles and our traumas and the things that we go through are so valuable. Like, it is the gold. Sometimes overcoming is your oil, and that oil can be used. What I'm trying to say is, I find it very interesting how that was shown to me. And it just really made me think about how important it is to watch our step when we're dealing with other people, because sometimes you don't even understand the damage you can cause, and you just keep walking like nothing happened, even though you squished something under your feet. not paying attention, just going about your way, worried about you. There's a lot of people who are going through a lot with their SNAP benefits, about to lose aid, about to go through a lot of different things. And there are people who really cared and wanted to help. And there were those who thought, well, it's not my problem because it's not happening to me. We are all supposed to look out for each other. If we all looked out for each other more, there's so many different things in the world that would not be taking place. It's really down to the simplest commandment, which is love. Love your neighbor like you love yourself, because if you did that, there's so many things that would not be happening because you wouldn't do that to yourself. So why are you doing it to them? And that is the whole of Christianity. For the people who misunderstand who God is about love. Not judging others because you don't agree with their choices, not judging others because they've made mistakes, because at the end of the day, you could judge somebody for doing something. Everybody sins, everybody falls short. So when you make it a point to judge somebody for their sins while not considering your own, we shouldn't do that. We should not do that. We should not do that, because one thing I have learned is the things you judge harshly, the things you judge the most, are the experiences that you will go through until you learn to give somebody grace. That was also in that video. I have had to learn some lessons the hard way. I don't prefer to learn that way. I don't prefer to learn that way. I don't want to have to go through something I judged because God is trying to teach me grace. I am good. You want grace, you got it. I don't need to go through it. I don't need to go through it just to figure out I should give you some grace. At the end of the day, everybody has their journey. Everybody has their path. Everybody will come to the knowledge of the truth in their own time, at the time that is appointed for them to come to it. So you shouldn't be kicking people and stepping on people on your way to get to the truth, all because you lack humility and you're not paying attention. That's my little TED Talk. I just want to encourage all of you to be gentle with other people's feelings. Be mindful when you're dealing with other people. And just because you didn't mean to hurt somebody's feelings, or you didn't mean to make them feel away, or it wasn't your intention, doesn't mean you still didn't make them feel that way. Sometimes we get into fruitless debates about, well, I didn't say that and that's not what I mean. And you have an attitude because that's how they took it. Instead of saying to yourself, well, you know what? That isn't what I meant. But if I made you feel that way, I am so sorry. That is not what I meant to do at all. I apologize. That was not my intention. Let's talk about it and figure out a way that we can move through this and get better so that I do not hurt your feelings again. That is a real apology. Not these, well, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but you lack humility. You never know why that one word you said triggered that person, because maybe they grew up and their parents told them they were dumb. And so you sitting here saying it loosely like it's nothing, but you really triggered and you hurt them because you brought them back to their childhood traumas. You can't do that. You really have to be mindful. So let's all try to be a little bit more mindful of our words, our choices, our actions, and what we do, because your actions affect others. They do. Intentions are great and all, but if somebody tells you you hurt them, listen and fix it. You can't handle everybody the same way because everybody has different upbringings. Everybody is different. Everybody does not receive information and actions and treatments and all of that. Everybody doesn't receive it the same way. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm going to finish my coffee and I have some schoolwork I need to do. So I'm going to try to be motivated to do that. And then I need to list some more stuff on Depop. I have been listing some more things. So there are new things up there. But I need to list some more things. And I need to go today to ship some things because I sold some more items. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. People are very multifaceted. However, when the algorithm and the world says we only want to see this particular thing, everybody starts to conform to what they think people want to see. But in the process, they actually end up losing themselves. There are many, many thoughts I've had this week as I've gone through life, vlogging one moment to the next. And there have been some moments that I'm in my mind thinking like, who actually wants to see this? But at the end of the day, there is somebody out there who just wants to see you be you. You guys are literally balancing on, you know, my ledge. Hopefully you don't go over. So I'm shipping this out today. Somebody bought it off of Depop. I just want to show you guys. This is an amazing fur coat. And whoever ordered this is really about to be living their best. It's so cute, isn't it? I just sprayed myself with perfume. Hopefully it doesn't get all over it. But if it does, I'm wearing Dossier. But I'm about to ship this out. And I sold something else I need to ship out. What was it that I sold? I sold, the Guess jeans. I'll show you. Who remembers those? Those are my favorite jeans for the longest. And I was so sad that they didn't fit anymore. And so we have those. About to ship those out. And then I just listed a few other things on my Depop, like this beautiful Hanifa dress that I never wore. It's a halter dress, very pretty. If you're a size large to extra large, you'll be able to fit it. And then both of my Mugler H&M collab dresses are on there. I've never even wore them. They still have the tags on them. So if you're interested in that, they'll be listed as well. And again, if you're like a large to an extra large, I would say anywhere between a 12 and a 16. I think you could fit the Mugler dresses no problem. Although the corset dress, I feel like probably if you have a very large chest, may or may not work. I was a full D for that dress and it worked well. So if you're bigger than that, I cannot make any guarantees. So anyway, I'm about to pack up these things to ship and ship them out. And then we need to go to the grocery store because I do have to cook dinner. I went to my friend's birthday this past week. And can I make a confession? Like, are we friends? My confession is this. I am still surprised when people actually like me. I know that sounds strange, right? But I have gone through so many different things in my life, and I have allowed people and what they thought of me to dictate how I move, how I show up, what I say. I have even allowed their words to seep into my mind and affect how I think, most importantly, how I think about myself. When I watch people complain about content creators and how they feel like they're only selling something or they are only showing an unrealistic life, I find it interesting because as somebody who actually has been doing this for a while, even though my numbers wouldn't seem that way, there is a reason why certain content creators grow more than others, and that is because they are doing the things that people, the general public, want to see. Some people do want to just see consumption constantly. Let's take my friend's birthday, for example. I wore this amazing outfit that I got from Quince. Cashmere sweater, beautiful, very affordable. Silk skirt, amazing. I actually wore the skirt as a dress. These amazing leather weaved shoes, and I can tell you about it, but if I don't say it just right, it sounds like I'm just trying to sell you something, when the truth of the matter is these are items that I actually really like and I just want to share it with you, and it's really up to you whether or not you want to buy it. But what I'm not going to do is shop every week to keep up with the level of consumption that you want to see, because I'm trying to entertain and get views and, you know, drive more traffic to my channel, because like that's not really what I actually want to do. But sometimes it is hard to say no. Today is my really good friend's. We're celebrating her birthday today. I have known her since I was in high school, and she actually lives out here. She's been living out here long before I moved out here. But we're going to a winery today for her birthday, and the theme is Burgundy. So I want to show you guys my outfit to kind of give you an idea of the versatility. This dress, if you guys remember, this dress is from Quince. Well, it's a skirt that I actually pulled up to wear like a tube top dress. And then I have the cashmere sweater over my shoulders for if it gets a little bit cooler later. And then I have on my Quince little knitted like ballet loafers. I wanted to wear a flat just because I've never been to this place before. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of walking involved, so I don't want to have on a heel and hate myself for it later. Bag is going to be my little mini Fendi Spy. It actually is big enough to carry my camera, my Ray-Ban Metas, and all of that. So that's why I got this one. And this is the complete look. I feel like it's very cute and classy. I tried to keep my jewelry as minimal as possible, but you guys know I love to accessorize. I love a good accessorized moment. So hair is curled. We'll see how long this lasts, but we are headed out. It's going to take me about an hour to get there, so I will chat with you guys in the car. I'm going to take my DJI and we're going to test out this mic for real and see if the sound quality is giving. Arrived at the winery and it is so pretty. The drive up here was so pretty. I included some clips just so you guys could see, but I think I'm a little early. She's actually due to be here now. I just got a text message from her. I think she's going to be pulling up any minute. So I'm going to try to make my way over to the main building, but this should be so fun. I'm so excited. I already know that I'm gonna have to like spit out half my wine so I don't accidentally inebriate myself for my drive home, because it is an hour-long drive home.
Birthday girl, birthday, it's your birthday.
One time for the birthday
It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. You know it's your birthday, show the world that it's your birthday. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. You know it's your birthday, show the world that it's your birthday. 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 You know it's your birthday, show the world that it's your birthday. Birthday girl, 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 birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. It's your birthday, it's your birthday girl. You know it's your birthday, show the world that it's your birthday. 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 You know it's your birthday, show the world that it's your birthday.
We really need to put forth a lot more effort to kind of get back to ourselves, because I think with everything going on online, we're all starting to kind of get lost in the sauce. When I moved across the country from California to Texas, and I had to go through all of my stuff and pack it up, I really started to realize what an excess of things I had. And yeah, they're beautiful things, but I don't need everything. And honestly, I can't even fit everything anymore, so I have no choice but to sell them, or I'm gonna be giving a lot away. But it did get me to thinking about how often I actually play in my clothes? Like, how often do I actually try to rewear these things and restyle them in a lot of different ways? And really, like, are you even still excited about these things? And what I find is the more that I play in those clothes and I try things on, the less desire I have to shop, because I'm starting to really be present and live in the moment of what I already have instead of constantly thinking that I need more. But social media and views will tell you that no, like, actually people want to see you just get more and more and more and more and more. Sometimes I just want to show you that I've decided I want to learn to make sourdough bread. I had to start my sourdough starter over because I let it sit too long. And it started like growing the wrong thing in it, you know? I went like 2 or 3 days without stirring it, and it started to look kind of pinky and orangey tinted, and I was like, no, I have a feeling that's not good. So yeah, we're not gonna do that. Where's my little spoon? In the dishwasher. So let me turn you guys around. Okay, that's a little bit better. So I'm going to feed my sourdough starter. I have a little band. It's actually the band that was around here, but I took it off so that this could just cover it without being airtight. But this is like where we're at. So I'm just going to, I'm doing a 1:1 ratio right now because it's a starter. But I've been watching the girls on TikTok talk about, like, just, you know, experts at this, talk about the correct ratios. And they are all of the same mind that it doesn't have to be so exact and specific all the time, and people are making it way too hard. So I'm gonna follow the ratios more or less for the start, but they're not about to stress me out over this sourdough starter, okay? So I'm just mixing. I did a 1:1 again. I did 1 tablespoon of flour to 1 tablespoon of water. Smells like it's starting to do something. It still kind of smells just like flour and water though. I don't want to spill it, but can you see? That's like my consistency. So I've seen some people say they do theirs consistency like pancake batter. Others like theirs a little bit thicker. There is 2 creators that I've seen talk about this, and I'm gonna link their TikToks down below because for me, they made it really easy to understand, especially when it comes to discarding and why. Because listen, I'm not trying to do anything that's extra complicated. You guys, look at this really cute workout set. It's from the brand Adodos. I think that's how you say it. But I chose this color because I think it's so perfect for fall. The material is actually amazing. It really feels soft and comfortable, but it kind of snatches you at the same time. I have these 3 different pieces. We'll start with the pants. The pants have a flare bottom, which I really like because I feel like it makes it kind of look more like an intentional outfit even if you're not using it for working out. And I do like the fold over top of it because I feel like you can make it as high or as low as you want. It adds versatility. The top I got in a size medium. The pants are small. It is a racer back top, and it does have a bra incorporated into it. Now I really feel like I could have gotten this in a small, and I should have, so note to self for next time. And then the cardigan really just completes the look, sets it off. I don't have to wear it. I could tie it around my waist and wear it that way, or if it gets a little chilly I could put it on. But I also feel like if I were to take the tank and the cardigan and wear it with jeans, it would be an entire outfit. So cute. They have a lot of different colors. You can check them out. I'll link them in my description box. I do have a 10% off coupon code, so I'll go ahead and add that to the description bar, but this isn't sponsored. I just really like it. I did not have to share it with you guys, but I feel like when I come across really good affordable sets, then I feel a moral obligation to share. I feel like none of the pieces were over, I don't think, like 30 bucks. They were very affordable, but they're also extremely high quality. So now I'm gonna go ahead and ship some things that I sold on Depop, and then when we get back, I'm gonna make a salad because I'm starting to get hungry. I am. Sometimes I want to show you guys that I am obsessed with this new Caesar salad that I have started to make, and you know what, you might like it too. So let me show you how I made it step by step. But then there's this voice in my head that's also like, but who actually wants to see it? It's 3:30 and I'm just now getting ready to eat. So I want to show you guys this Caesar salad that is amazing. The ingredients. We have the kale, Parmesan cheese, okay, salad bowl that we got from Home Goods. These two items are key. Hold on, let me lift you up just a little bit. These two items are key. We need the black truffle oil, and then I have the citrus salt. They're both from like Home Goods, Marshalls, you can find them there. This is what the citrus salt looks like, just so you guys have an idea. This is the citrus salt that's in this little dish right here. Okay, I need to remove my rings because we can't get food on them. You'll understand why in a minute. So first we have our triple wash, ready to eat kale. Normally, I would wash this again. Today, I don't feel like it. I'm gonna make enough for my husband because I know he's gonna want some. And then I have the chipotle chicken that I made last night. We're gonna add that. I'm gonna show it to you without that because I typically make the salad with no meat on it. So I like to go through and pull out any like little thick branches. I don't know what other way to say it, but like these thick stalks, because I don't like chewing on those. If you like it, you could keep them in. I don't like it. The other ingredient that we need that I forgot to tell you was a lemon. Maybe you know where I'm going with this by now. Let me open this because I just ran through a whole nother bottle of this. So I've tried different truffle oils. I've tried this one. I think that this one is definitely better. In my opinion, it has more of a truffle taste. All right, so this part you're gonna have to kind of like measure with your heart because I can't tell you, but this is how much salad I have. So look at how long I pour and use that as a gauge if you wish. So we're gonna drizzle the whole entire salad with oil. Little extra measure. So I like to do the oil. Then I will do, let's say 2.5 pinches of the salt. I also will do pepper. And then you're gonna have to dig in and just like squeeze and massage the kale. Like you're massaging the oil all over the kale. And you'll know if you have enough oil because you'll feel if it's not really on all the leaves. So like already I can kind of feel I may need to add some more, but I'm going to try to like massage all of it first before I add more. And then as I'm doing it, I'm coming across more of these thicker like little branches. And as you massage it and just kind of like get through all of it, you'll feel the kale start to soften up, which is gonna change the texture and make it so much more enjoyable to eat. And I'll typically go like this and like try a piece of lettuce or a piece of kale to see if I have enough salt on it. And then I'm gonna cut open my lemon and add it to this. Now, at that point, you can actually just let it be your dressing because it definitely tastes really good with just that. But I'm gonna show you what else I do. I'm gonna do the whole lemon. We're going to add the Parmesan cheese. I love Parmesan cheese, so does my husband, so I add quite a bit because I like everything. Let's just add it all. It wasn't really, it was like maybe a fourth left in here. My little trusty tossers. And then I'm gonna toss this all around so that the Parmesan is like fully integrated in. You don't have to toss it that long. It doesn't take that much to like really get it in there. I like these cheese and garlic HEB croutons because they're like really seasoned. And because I don't like to have to chew big chunks of croutons, I typically smash them in the bag so it's like crumbled. And then I use this Brianna's Home Style Asiago Caesar dressing. Let me get closer so you can see. See that? That's what I use. I put so little of this on the salad because, again, the oil and the lemon and the salt and pepper already kind of acts like a dressing. So I just like, it's a very light drizzle That's all I put. And then I just toss it and kind of mix it in. And at this point, I'll top it with croutons, and that'll be it. It'll be done. But I'm also going to put some chicken on it. So I'm not actually going to heat this chicken up, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah, I don't want to heat it up. So I'm gonna put the chicken on cold. I'm not gonna put the croutons on yet, because if you put them on too early before serving it, they will get soggy in the salad. And I'm about to make a margarita. So I'm gonna make that first, and then I'm going to do my salad. We're basically knocking on happy hour's door. So that's pretty much it. Like, it's super simple, very little ingredients, but I promise you it is the best Caesar salad you will ever try. The best. It's even better if you do your own homemade Caesar dressing, which I do know how to make. Maybe we'll do that, because I definitely love a good homemade Caesar dressing with anchovies. All right, so I'm gonna go on ahead and make my margarita with the spicy margarita mix. But that's pretty much all we're doing for today. I'm not doing anything else, so I'm gonna like chill and relax. I have some schoolwork I need to do. So I'll catch you guys probably tomorrow. There are moments I see things online and I really feel this feeling of like, I really want to speak on this. This is important. More recently, about the woman who called around to a bunch of different churches asking for just one can of formula, and all of the responses she got. Like, I saw that video and I really wanted to speak on it. There's this creator on here that was going around calling churches, asking them if they would donate a can of formula to a baby. Maybe you've heard about it, maybe you haven't, but I want to say something about this that I feel like is slightly unpopular, but hear me out. I think a lot of times the first mistake we make is trying to qualify whether or not somebody deserves our help. And I think the second that you start to approach things from this perspective, you're already operating in the wrong spirit. I don't know about you, but I definitely grew up hearing when homeless people would ask for money, like, oh, you know, I don't want to give it to them because they're probably going to use it on drugs. Like, my parents never said anything like that to me, but I've definitely heard it before. And the thing about it is, so what? Like, what if they do? The thing is the word is a double-edged sword. It's a double edge. So sometimes the test is not only for them, but it's for you also. Maybe the Lord is testing to see how generous you are. Maybe the Lord is testing them to see if they're really going to use it on whatever they said they were. Maybe the Lord is testing their moral or their ethics. Whether or not they're lying, you helping them does not change the heart of what you did. But the second that you start trying to see if they actually deserve it, or try to qualify in your mind if somebody is deserving, that's different, because we are all undeserving of God's grace, mercy, and forgiveness. So how dare you judge if somebody else is deserving of something when the things you have, you're not even deserving of? You understand what I'm saying? Whether or not this was her telling the truth or not, the point remained the same. If a church is in a neighborhood, if a church is existing in this world, the goal of that church is to bring the kingdom of God to earth, to spread the gospel of Christ. And that gospel, first and foremost, is love. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. So when you start trying to qualify people as if you are the judge, that's when you bring judgment on yourself, because you start revealing your heart. And a lot of these churches, the heart of their ministry was revealed, and you can't be mad at it. In my opinion, I'm like, good, because the churches that operate in this way are the reason why people deny Christ. They're the reason why people don't want to get to know God. They're the reason why people don't have any interest in being a Christian, because the wrong representatives are out there. The word says, be careful how you entertain strangers, because you might be entertaining angels unaware. Think about it. An angel doesn't need your money. But if a homeless man comes up to you and it's an angel in disguise, for all you know, that's a test on whether or not God can unlock your blessings, because where is your heart at? We need to get out of the habit of trying to qualify whether or not people need our help, and simply help because we can. Whether or not they're telling the truth is not your problem. You let God deal with that. But where is your heart? What is your heart posture? However, what was very surprising about the comments is all of the justifications that people were giving for why any of this was even acceptable. Now, I do want to say this. I said in the video, so what if she lied? And I also said that, you know, there's people who will not want to help because they're like, oh, they're going to want to just go spend it on drugs or whatever the case might be. And some people chose to hone in on that as if I'm saying I would give somebody money for drugs, which is not what I'm saying, and that's not really the point. But some people, in an attempt to escape accountability because they've probably had the same thoughts and it's made them feel uncomfortable, they rush to justify themselves in the comments. And the truth of the matter is, the fact that she lied, do I feel like that was a godly thing for her to do? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. If that was an attempt for the enemy to make Christians look bad, unfortunately, in some instances it worked because they fell right into it. But you have to remember Job. I posted the video in a few different places, and one woman was saying that, you know, the woman was a liar and that God would use a liar to test his people. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are we all forgetting the story about Job? He literally told the devil, have you tried my servant Job? The devil is the father of lies. Of course, a liar would go test God's people. Like, what? Are we reading the same Bible? But the thing is, it's crazy because, again, I have these wild revelations where God speaks to me. And I know that I'm called to share because just even all of the comments I get from you guys when you're telling me how well I've explained something, I promise you it's nothing but the Holy Spirit. I'm only telling you exactly how God told me. That's all it is. It's not Jillian. That is the Holy Spirit. I'm just explaining it to you exactly the way that I was shown. Sometimes I'm getting the revelation right along with you guys, you know? And I think to myself, like, I know I'm supposed to share, but every single time I go to share, there's this thought in my mind of like, but who actually wants to hear this? And it starts to play on that whole people pleasing thing because, again, I'm always shocked when people want to hear me, when people want to listen to me, when people like me. And it's like, at the end of this week, I really had to think to myself, like, why are you like that? Like, why are you like that? And I can think of so many different scenarios where people have told me I was difficult, I'm hard to be friends with, or just any number of things. I'm bossy, I'm demanding, I'm too outspoken, whatever. And I could try to play the victim. I could, but I'm never a victim. However, I have allowed the voices to make me feel a way. And when it comes down to it, as much as I can say these people have made me feel this way, I know have made others feel the exact same way. We all fall short. And I think a lot of times we fail to recognize our flaws because we're too focused on having a victim mentality or trying to blame others for how we feel. Nobody can make you feel any way. You have to allow it, okay? You have to allow it. You have to take every thought captive and make it subject to Christ, because who did God say you were? And if that thought doesn't line up with who you are, who God said you are, then that thought is a lie. So at the end of the day, nobody can make you feel any way. You have to allow it. And so I never want to blame others for how I feel because I did in fact allow it, but also it's about taking accountability for the fact that you might have made somebody else feel that way without even realizing it. And I think that's why the dream that I had about the ducks was so important, because it was a reminder of how things that seem small are actually things that can turn into something big. And it's so important how we move through life and treat others. I don't think anybody ever took into account that the woman was calling during a time where SNAP benefits have been cut off. Like, did anybody ever even think about that? So she's calling when SNAP benefits have been cut off, and there's all of these stipulations just to get help from an organization that's supposed to be helpful. I understand a lot of different places have rules and things and structure and protocol and all of that, but protocol should not come above the needs of a baby. And the thing is they didn't know she was lying, but they did show how they prioritized, where they stood, and what was in their heart by the way they chose to answer. Because even if I personally was struggling and I was on a very low salary and I didn't have the money to help, I know there's like 10 people I could have called that said, like, you know, hey, I don't have the money to help, but this is what's going on. Can you all give me $1? Can you all give me $2 so I can help get this woman some formula for her baby? Like, we just have to do better when it comes to helping others. I know that there is so much discourse on the internet and there's so many different ways that you're turning and all you're seeing is negativity. And for the content creators that really have other interests and there's other things you want to do but you're scared to do it because of the algorithm and views and all of that, I would encourage you to show up as your most authentic self, your multi-dimensional, multi-layered, multifaceted self, because I think the only way to put a stop to all of the sameness is if we all show up authentically and uniquely ourselves. I'll leave you with this. I think it's very important that we show up and be who that little girl or that little boy inside of us needed, like when we were younger. Be that person now for somebody else who needs to see it. Show up uniquely and authentically yourself. I think a lot of people have a problem with transparency online and vulnerability because it'll just be used against you. But I encourage you guys to push through and just show up as yourself. Be what you want to see in the world and don't pay attention to any of the other stuff. I know it's very tempting to get caught up in the drama and the toxicity and entertain it and watch it, but you really have to be careful what you take in, because whether you realize it or not, it's slowly changing you in small measures. So I'm about to post a vlog that I'm thinking to myself, who wants to see this? But the truth of the matter is, if it were me, I would.